I'm trying coffee, Booker. This is not a normal thing for me. Just over the last 3 months, I started, and man, like it gets you. I know you always drink Red Bull.
No, man. I've always been a coffee drinker, man. Back in the day, they used to call me Joe DiMaggio.
Booker, can I tell a story real quick about the first time that I spoke to you? And I don't know if you even remember.
Yeah. I just go right ahead.
So I'm in Louisville, Kentucky in 2001. And you know, I get this call and it's an unavailable number. And I normally didn't answer unavailables. So I answer and I go, hello? And he's like, yo, 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 yo. And I went, yo, 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 who's this? And he said, yo, man, you don't know me, but my name Booker T. And I was like, Booker T? He was like, yeah. I said, man, I know who you are. He was like, listen, man, I'm going to just get right down to it. My girlfriend is coming down to Louisville. Her name is Sean Mel. And, you know, I heard you're a good brother. And I want you to look out for her while she's down there. And I was like, man, that's cool. I'll be more than happy to. And he said, no. And I was like, like, I don't know. I know Booker now. But he was like, no. I'm serious, man. Like, that's my baby. I said, brother, I got her. She good. Don't worry about it. Not one thing. I'm going to take care of it. And do you remember that?
Heck yeah, I remember that, man.
Where the hell you get my number from?
My thing was, you got to, I had heard all kind of stories about Mark Henry. So I better go straight to the source. You know what I'm saying? And nip this in the bud right now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
That's the way I've always been, man. You know, I remember when I first got to WWE, I was sleeping in the locker room, and guys, and that's why I say you got to go straight to the source. I was sleeping in the locker room, and the guy came up to me, and he was like, man, you don't want to get caught sleeping around him, man, because you can get some heat. You know, and I was like, man, heat, you know, from sleeping. I'm like, he's like, yeah, man, don't do that. You know, I say, so all right, I appreciate that. So I'm walking down the hallway, and I run into JR, and JR is the one that hired me. And I say, JR, if anybody's looking for me, I'll be in the car taking a nap. All right? He said, all right. So my thing is, you go straight to the source. I knew all about Mark Henry. I heard all about his escapades back in the day. You know, so I said, let me go to Mark Henry.
Sex with chocolate was a gimmick.
If I got to go to anybody, it's going to be Mark.
Well, I appreciate the, the confidence that I would get the job done and take care of your baby. That's my baby.
14 years married, you know what I mean, and then a few years prior, you know what I mean, we still locked in at the hip, man, twin babies, 8 years old, and life is I always say, man, I'm living in paradise every day.
That's awesome.
Booker, you talked about, the locker room, and it was always good for me when you came for the first time to the WWE from WCW. Instantly, right away, you had a level of respect, and I was hoping that it would be like Harlem Heat, but it was a Booker T joint, if you will. And
yeah.
You always maintained a lot of respect from the boys. What do you owe that to?
I always gave respect, where it was earned. And I took it vice versa the same way. I always want to earn my respect. That's when I first got to WWE. I didn't bring any of my WCW accolades with me or anything like that. I wanted to prove to those guys in the locker room that I was worthy of being one of the boys. I think that's what the business is truly all about. A lot of guys take it serious. A lot of guys bring their egos in the locker room with them. They bring their titles and all of that stuff with them, But for me, that's never been what wrestling's about. It's been about a job. It's been about a camaraderie. But I've made a bunch of friends like yourself along this journey. along with your wife and your kids as well. That's what this thing for me has been all about, and at the end of the day, if I could take care of my family, it's all good. The guys remember me from two things in the locker room, for being laughing all the time. If I wasn't laughing, I was pissed off, and they knew it. You know what I mean? I didn't try to hide it. I didn't try to sugarcoat it or anything like that. Everybody always knew what was on my mind. And guys respected me for that. I always stuck up for the guys in the locker room as well. That's been one thing I've always, thought about, the guys in the locker room that didn't have that voice, if you had a chance, speak up for that guy as well, So that's been just my nature, man.
Book, I always knew that you would be a great commentator if you decided to do so, because you used to have these legendary rants at the monitor in the back. And all the boys used to gather around. Oh, you remember? You would be standing there and you'd be like, oh, man, he hit him with that thing. And we'd be like, what the hell did he hit him with? He hit him with that thing. I mean, it's like there was stuff that you said and did that was so entertaining, and I missed that. I wish that you was back on color commentary.
I tell you, man, if they would let me be me, I could definitely go out there and entertain, totally different than what, the guys go out there and do. And even what I was doing out there at the commentary booth, I was totally restrained. I couldn't do the color, when I did the stuff in the back, I was the color commentator. And then when I was at the, commentary booth, I was like an analyst, and it's hard to actually, be an analyst opposed to being the guy that's calling color, calling the matches and making that match exciting. And because that's what I did in the back was,
right,
entertain the boys, you know what I mean? Make you guys laugh, make you guys go, oh man, what the hell is he talking about? If the fans can feel that energy, I think they will like it. It's totally different than what we do on Monday nights and Tuesday nights nowadays, though. But hey, man, I had my time out there. I had a lot of fun doing it. But I tell you, that 3-hour show, it's just like a wrestling career, man. You got to prepare for that. You know what I mean? And if you don't prepare for it at 3 hours, man, you can find yourself like in a boat out in the middle of the ocean, just paddling. You know what I mean? So no, I'm serious, man. So
I can visualize being in a boat in the middle of the ocean.
And then having people screaming in your ear. And Booker, the reason that we wanted you to obviously come on is because we wanted to wish you congratulations. You're going to be a 2-time Hall of Famer. Harlem Heat, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And by the way, on the line, we just don't have Booker T, but we also have your brother, Stevie Ray. Stevie, how are you today?
I was good until you started messing with me.
We didn't wake you up, did we?
Yeah, Mark Henry, I don't come down to your job bothering you, do you?
I love Stevie.
It's
me. It's your boy.
I'm trying to go to sleep on an airplane coming back from Australia. Who wakes me up and want to tell me about something you and the cat doing? Now you're doing it again.
Well, I wanted to say congratulations to you, man.
Hey, man, I'm just messing with you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Man, you're another one. I asked Stevie a long time ago. I'm listening to their song, and I bought a place in Harlem. So I'm going through Harlem looking for this address that they say in the song, and it didn't exist. It was a field. It was just it was a block that had been torn down. Like they just completely tore the whole block down. And it was just like fenced in area. And I called Booker and Stevie together one time and I said, hey man, I went through Harlem probably about $12 worth of cab ride looking for this damn address, and there was nothing there, and they both looked at me and just busted out laughing like, man, we just made that shit up. Oh my God!
I ran into this guy, man. On one of the trains down in Atlanta, man. He goes, man, hey man, I live right next door to you guys down in Harlem, man. You know, don't y'all remember me? I'm like, man, no, I don't remember. We got all of that from, Cotton Comes to Harlem back in the day.
Oh man, people crazy, man.
So Stevie, how are you feeling? Congratulations, and how did you find out you're going into the Hall of Fame?
They called me and told me.
Okay. You make it sound so exciting. You make it sound so
cut and dry. That's pretty cut and dry. How the hell you think, Dave, that they was gonna do smoke signals? They're gonna send him a message on Twitter. Hey Stevie, we're gonna induct you in the Hall of Fame. What you think?
Oh well, I think I'm available that day. I'll be prepared. Who
made the call?
Like no, the office calls you and they let you know. Hey, you guys being inducted and congratulations. It was pretty much that simple. And I said somebody will be getting back with you and going over all your everything to get prepared, so on and so forth. When you can't let anyone know. That was pretty much it. Kind of cut and dry, just like that.
Wow.
As soon as I found out, I told everybody.
And then they called me back a week later and said, hey, Steve, how many rooms are you going to need? I thought you told me not to tell anybody.
Like, y'all make up y'all mind. Do you want me to tell somebody or not?
It was kind of like, I don't know how many rooms I'm going to need, Because actually, they told you get 2 round-trip tickets, and I'm like, cool. And I said, one for me and one for my daughter. But I called my daughter. My daughter calls me back, and she goes, what is the date again? I told her the date. She said, well, I told you I was going to Japan. And I was like, yeah, I know you're going to Japan. It's the same weekend, so.
Oh, man.
So that was kind of disappointing that, she's and some of her comrades are going to Japan. But I guess they announced it so late, they had already booked the ticket. You know how those overseas flights are, man. So. Yeah,
well, I'll share mine with you. You could. Joanna will be our daughter for the weekend.
Okay, that'll work, bro.
You'll want to give her back after you talk to her for about 5 minutes.
But other than that, man, it's all good, man. It's all good and very humbling.
There's only 12 tag teams in the WWE Hall of Fame, so you're obviously making history, and there's a long history when it comes to Harlem Heat. I remember watching GWF and you guys teaming up and going up against Iceman King Parsons and rest in peace Brickhouse Brown. But there's a lot of history with this tag team, huh?
You know something? I've had several people asked me about a match between Iceman King Parsons and Brickhouse Brown. I don't remember that match. Maybe you can ask my brother about it because was I there?
The thing is, I don't remember that match either.
I have it on. I actually watched it the other night. I have it on VHS tape, and I converted it.
Sure, wasn't Iceman and what's his name? What was his name?
Perry Jackson.
Action Jackson. Iceman and Action Jackson. That's who I remember.
Are you sure? I'm asking the Hall of Famers. Are they sure? I mean, I'm obviously wrong, and you're right.
I mean, God rest his soul. Brickhouse Brown, a good friend of ours. We just saw him last year at the Cauliflower event in Vegas, and he was very ill at the time. But I've met Brickhouse Brown on many occasions, but I never remember First of all, Perry Jackson's about 6'5", Brickhouse Brown's about 5'5". So I'm trying to see
No, you know what? The reason why I remember it was Action Jackson and Iceman King Parsons, because they were called the Blackbirds. My brother and I, we did an angle with them, and it was the first time that I ever juiced in the middle of the ring, the first time that I ever bled. And we put those guys over, Iceman and Axel Jackson. Then it came time for those guys to put us over. Iceman did not want to do the job.
What?
Manny Fernandez kicked him out of the building and said, if you don't want to do the job, get the hell out. I'll do it myself. We went out and we had a match with Manny Fernandez, and I can't remember who it was. We almost started a riot in the Sportatorium. That's what I remember.
It was Killer Tim Brooks.
Yes, exactly who it was. Yeah. And I remember it vividly as yesterday. I just didn't remember it was Killer Tim Brooks.
Yeah. Killer Tim Brooks. Yeah, because our angle stopped with the Blackbirds. That was going pretty good.
Yeah, it was going great.
And then the Killer Brooks, matter of fact, I think the Killer Brooks thing and Manny Fernandez, it kind of came out of the blue because we never finished our angle with the Blackbirds because...
No. Yeah. It started actually that night when Manny kicked them out of the building. Manny, I remember Manny telling those guys, "Hey, if you don't want to do the job, I'll do it myself." That's why I remember, great as far as Manny Fernandez and what he did for me as a person, as a wrestler, what he made me feel like I could go out there and do, as well as the way I talk to my students today. I always tell my students about this story right here as far as Manny Fernandez saying, hey, sometimes you got to go out there and do the job yourself. And Manny went out there and put us over and made us big stars that night. I remember that.
Book, I don't know if you listened to the beginning of the show, but I basically just said the same damn thing. There's so many people that don't take pride in making other people look good. And I've done my best to take bumps for people that a big guy shouldn't be trying to take. And it didn't matter if you was over or not. Whoever I was in there with, I was working for them. The hell with the company I was working for. The hell with what TV show I was on. I had that dude life in my hands. One thing, he was not going to get hurt. And I was going to make sure that I made him look better than anybody ever made him look before in their life. And people not doing that now.
To add on to that, back in WCW, I used to have a saying, when I would go out and work guys that never, really got looked at, as far as high praise or anything like that. Guys probably just coming in to do a job or something like that. And I would always say, I'm going to go out and get this kid a cone track, and I'd say, tonight, kid, I'm going to get you a cone track. And then I would go out there and I would make that kid look so good. A lot of times, WCW would hire the guy and give him a cone track. Chris Jericho and we was talking about that. He was like, on Johnny Carson always used to sit back and let his, the stars on the show be the stars because he was a star already. He didn't have to do anything, and that's what I think about when going out and performing, make everybody look good and everybody wins.
You guys were talking about Killer Tim Brooks and you're talking about Iceman King Parsons, and you mentioned the Sportatorium, and you both being from Texas, and Mark, you too from Texas, and you guys were actually able to perform at the Sportatorium. What was that like for you guys?
Well, at the beginning, not so good. but
elaborate.
But at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you something. I was doing a podcast about a week ago, and these guys were asking me about the Sportatorium and how they had went there. I guess when the WrestleMania was there in Dallas a couple of years ago, and they went to get a picture of the famous Sportatorium, and they've torn the building down since then. I mean, before that, so the guys didn't know. So these guys were asking me about the Sportatorium and what was it like, so on and so forth, and just that atmosphere. And what I was trying to explain to them was that they were also asking me about, coming into WCW. And what I had to explain to them was that working in Global in the Sportatorium was a better experience as far as being in the ring than WCW.
Wow.
You know why? Because we worked with guys that had been. We were the green guys. Everybody else were the worldly veterans, and they took care of us. So working with top guys every night was like
master class. You couldn't help but learn.
I mean, this is gravy. The only thing changed was the uniforms, and we went from baby faces to heels. But working with those guys, I mean, you got an education in the Sportatorium on a nightly basis, a real education, because everybody was former, regional this or regional that in the big territories. So it was like, teach these guys how to do this, and you learn. It was that simple. So when we got to WCW, we were ready because all the top guys had got you ready. So that was the atmosphere.
Well, I heard that one of the things that the sport...
Add on to that, Mark, before you go any further. I remember actually first match working with Hollywood John Tatum and Rod Price. And I go, he goes, what do you want me to do tonight? And Hollywood John Tatum goes, just flop.
Just flop.
It was an education, bro, to be had. Just like my brother say. But go ahead, Mark.
Well, really quick, Mark. I don't mean to interrupt you, but you mentioned Hollywood John Tatum, and we're mentioning a lot of names like an Iceman King Parsons and a Killer Brooks and a John Tatum. Do you feel like, and Mark, you could probably expand on this as well. Obviously, Stevie and Booker, you had an appreciation for the history of pro wrestling. Is that something that continues today? Do you feel like the younger wrestlers have an appreciation of the generations before them?
Me personally, I think on that right there, I think they captured a generation that came actually just before them. I don't think they do a whole lot of research and go way back, like to the WCCW days, the Mid-South days, the AWA days. But I'm sure they go back a little bit, probably, to the Harlem Heat days, such as Street Profit. At the NXT TakeOver Phoenix was representing Harlem Heat. You know what I mean? That was their era. They were kids. So I think it goes as far back as they can remember, in my estimation these days.
My question was about the stories that I've heard about the Sportatorium, that if you ever had a beef with somebody, you were allowed to challenge them in the locker room, and they would move all the furniture out of the way, and whoever lost had to leave the territory. You got fired that night.
Wow.
Did y'all ever get to see any of that kind of stuff?
And you think if something like that had went down with us, you would have to be asking me that right now? I'm
not saying that it happened to y'all. I'm saying, did you ever get to witness it?
No, I never saw anything like that, man. I mean, those guys down there, man, I mean, they were just all about working, man. It was all about going out there and performing and drinking their beer after the show and just doing it all over again the next week, I remember, honestly, nothing but good times working in Global, guys like my brother said, like Black Bart, Mantell, Maniac, Mike Davis, all those guys, man, they were...
What was Mike's partner name?
Mike Davis' partner.
I remember the Dirty Davis brothers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I tell you, man, those days, man, those guys were pulling for us. Like my brother said, they was pushing for us.
Wow.
We were sitting under the learning tree of some of the greatest talent that ever worked in the business, and riding down the road with Black Bart, chewing on this tobacco and spitting stories and giving us that knowledge, man. It was awesome. My brother was talking about our first, trip going down to Dallas, Texas. We're not, but a few miles away from Dallas. 250 miles away here in Houston. And our first experience in Dallas was an experience that one could never imagine. In the wrestling business, it was only about 50 people or so in that arena.
Yep,
They all was of the Caucasian descent, and they hated Harlem Heat. But excuse me, the Ebony Experience.
And you got to realize we wasn't even Ebony Experience then. We wasn't even.
Yeah, exactly.
But we was just two guys.
I remember vividly my
two black guys.
My brother-in-law was taping it on the recorder. And, he was calling us everything in that building that night, man. The N-word and everything. And my brother-in-law, he was taping it. And at one point in the match, I did the spin-a-rooney, and then a guy came up to my brother-in-law and told him, "Hey, you got to cut that off." But right before that, I saw the reaction of all of the fans. They was like, "Oh my!" One guy go, "Oh my God, what was that?" From that moment on, man, we literally changed the people in that Sportatorium. You know what I mean? It went from 50 people to that place being sold out on a weekly basis, and those people were coming to see the Ebony Experience. We were like the Von Erichs in Dallas, and when we left, I remember it vividly. We was in my Z28, and we were leaving and heading to Atlanta, Georgia, and all of those people that called us, those words, man, they were there crying, man. They hate to see us go, and I don't think it's ever been the same since the Ebony Experience left Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we were the last guys that came out of Global, because so much talent came out of Global to go on and do great things. And I think we were almost like the last of the Mohicans that come out of there. But going back to what my brother was just talking about, even the guys that we were working that night, and they were getting rid of those guys too, and they were trying to get rid of us at the same time. It's like, okay, we'll kill two birds with one stone. Let these guys work these guys, and they'll look like crap, and we tell all of them, get the hell up out of here. But, Scott Casey didn't train us like that. He always trained us to make your opponent look good, going back to what Mark was talking about earlier. And that night, we looked at each other and said, well, this is where the Scott Casey deal come in at. Now, I've never been a babyface. My brother has. This was my first night being a babyface, ever. And we were in a tag team that we had already lied about and said we had tagged together to Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. But it wasn't a real lie. We had tagged against each other. We never tagged with each other. So when he asked, "You guys ever tagged together?" Yeah.
Technically.
But if he had been a little bit more specific, we would have said, well, we were in the same tag match together. But be it as it may, I'm following my brother's lead because he's the ultimate babyface. That's all he's been since day one. Drop kicking, hip tossing, arm dragging guy. So in these two guys, I can't even remember their names. We had watched them on television, and they had a good look, but they get lost. So as a babyface, we go in and start the match, and they start to get the heat on my brother. And just like we talked about before, we got to make these guys look good. And I could hear my brother telling these guys everything to do. That way they never got lost. And I was like, that's where the training came in at. That's where the babyface training, I would never have been able to do that. Because I'm like, if you're a heel, we were taught the heel kind of leads the match.
Right.
But in this match, I could hear him say, okay, double do this to me. And the guys were doing it, and they were completely lost. And they looked great. That was the best match they ever had. And that was the night I was like, okay, my brother's pretty good at this stuff. Because I know I would have never been able to tell him that, because he quarterbacked the whole match. And these guys came back and told us after the match, man, nobody's ever worked with us like that before. Well, wow. Nobody's had the same training as a babyface like my brother before. That's why.
I've had a few matches with your brother. I've had a few matches with your brother, and he's always had colorful ideas of what to do and what not to do. And one match in particular, it's a cage match, and it was a 6-man tag in the cage. He know what I'm finna say.
That story.
So Book says, "Hey man, Benoit and Chavo want to do this. We all gonna dive off the top of the cage, and man, I don't want to do that shit, man. I ain't trying to dive off the top." I said, "Book, I got you." He said, "No, man, for real. Like, I want you to catch me." I don't want nobody else to touch me. He said, "I want you to catch me." And he climbed, and I remember like taking a double drop kick and being laying on the floor selling, and I'm working my way up, and I see him halfway up the cage, and I'm pulling myself up the ropes, getting myself in a good spot to catch him. I see Chavo fly off the top. Bam! I see Benoit fly off the top. Bam! And now Booker's up there at the top. And it's like Rocky 1 when he was like, "Adrian, catch me!" He climbs to the top of the cage, and I'm thinking he's gonna spread his arms out wide and get on his tiptoes and just launch himself off the top of the cage 10 feet over the top. He climbed up there, man, and he just fell off the top. And I caught him, and I was laughing my ass off the whole time. And he's like, "Man, stop laughing. Stop laughing." And they got the cover on me.
Let me tell you something, brother. I was so scared up there. And they asked me to rehearse it earlier that day. I go, "No, I got this." And when I got up there and rolled off that cage, it was like molasses going down the street. That's how fun it was. And it was the worst cage dive in the history of cage dives. You know why I did that? Because my thing is, they ain't gonna treat my ass like Kobe Kingston. You know, running up some stuff, and then next year they say, "Hey, put him in it again." Next year, I was like, the best way to get out of something is go out and just mess it all up. You know what I mean? The best way not to be in ladder matches is to go out there and do something off the second rung, and that's the only thing you do. You know what I mean?
It worked because they never asked you again.
Matches like that ever again.
Guys, this has been tremendous. Again, congratulations, Booker T, Stevie Ray, Harlem Heat, part of the 2019 class of the WWE Hall of Fame. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you so much for the time today.
Man, we appreciate y'all coming on, man. This has been absolutely wonderful. I wish that we can invite y'all to the anniversary party, the 10-year anniversary party in New York, but it's the same day as the Hall of Fame, and I know y'all are going to be over there all day long because Booker, you've been through it before. You're over there from 10 o'clock in the morning till the show starts. So,
what you think? You think I wasn't there either?
Well, true. You were there too.
I was there also. I've been through it before. I was there. As long as he was there, I was there. But let me correct you on one thing, big man. It was Rocky 3, not Rocky 1.
That's right.
Rocky 3.
That's right. It's when he took Hogan. He picked Hogan, when Hogan had him up and threw him out of the ring in Rocky 3, Mark.
Rocky 3. My bad. Hey, I'll take correction. I've been hitting the head a lot.
Man. You know you got to know your Rocky movies, man.
I'm getting old, man. I've been hitting the head a lot. I'm giving my brain to the brain bank so they can make sure that nobody else suffers like I do.
I heard that, brother. But hey, man, I appreciate you guys having me on, man, and it's gonna be a good time, bro.
There's also that deleted scene from Rocky 3 that most people didn't see, where Adrian runs off with Mr. T. But I mean, that must have been the version I watched.
That's what I like. That's the director's cut.
In his apartment.
Yeah. Come on over to my apartment. 603.
Apartment.
See a real man.
Not a mansion.
Come over to my apartment. Number 603.
You know,
show you what a real man is.
That's how they do it, brother. They give him an apartment.
Yeah, no palatial palace.
Guys,
I can't wait to see y'all, man. Like, I will see you doing the appearances and access and all of that stuff. Look forward to seeing you, and congratulations again, man. From the bottom of our heart over here at SiriusXM, man, we really are happy for y'all.
Appreciate it, bro.